Greetings, peace and blessings, everybody. Come on in, come on in. Good day to everybody. I'm gonna give people a minute to come on in. Just slide on in and tap that like button. I appreciate y'all. Good to see you. I appreciate you being here. And I'm just gonna let the room feel a little bit while we get settled. So if you're here, welcome. If you're catching the replay, welcome as well. Some people come in loud, some people come in quiet, and some people just don't say a word but still hear everything. So peace and blessings, everybody. Y'all give me 1 second. I gotta grab a cough drop. I've been a little under the weather, and I don't want to start hacking online. So just give me just a minute if you don't mind. All right, y'all. Thank you for your patience. Come on in, come on in. So listen, I hope everybody's day is going well. I hope everybody is taking care of their health, because I'm telling you, this stuff ain't no joke out here. I don't know what's going on, but you got to be mindful of what you're eating. Do some intermittent fasting. Make sure you stay hydrated. And I've even been walking around masked up outside because it seemed like everywhere I go, everybody hacking and coughing and spitting and choking and all kind of other stuff. So just take care of yourself, because whatever's going on in this air ain't no joke. Okay. So I just want to say shout out to everybody. Shout out to my members. Shout out to my chat. Shout out to those in the bushes. I see you. I see you and I appreciate you. So if you're enjoying the conversation as you come in, just tap the like button if you don't mind, and it just helps more people find the stream. So with that being said, let's go ahead on and get right off into the content. I don't anticipate on being here too loud, but I will drop the link if time permits, and if anybody feels motivated to hit the link, right? I may not, and just for disclaimer, I may not respond to every message in real time in the chat, because I definitely want to stay focused and stay on task. So it's not because I don't see you, but just because I want to stay with my current thought, right? So just know that your presence is felt. I appreciate y'all. Thank you for being patient. So listen, there is a difference between having attention and having influence. And we have a lot of people that seem to confuse the two. There is a distinction. And I just want to say that loud does not mean powerful, just like quiet does not necessarily mean weak. Attention is being seen. Influence is being trusted. Now, when you come to attention and seeking attention, people tend to react. When you have influence and you're influential and you're intentional about your influence, it directs. There is a distinction. Attention needs constant noise. You ever hear people that always got something to say, always have to be the center of attention, always got to overtalk, always have to be heard? always putting themselves at the center of the conversation, and they don't listen to respond or to interpret. I apologize. They listen to, or half the time they don't listen at all, right? There is a difference. When you're dealing with influence, it doesn't operate like that. It is an unspoken word. It is an unspoken act. You don't have to emphasize, and you don't have to put emphasis and attention and reiteration on something that should speak for itself without needing words. Everything don't need words. Everything does not need this. Just because you're this doesn't mean you're really saying anything. Again, there is a distinction, and I want to really make clear what I believe the distinction between influence and attention is. Now, sometimes we live in environments, or we interact in environments where noise is rewarded. Where just because you have something to say and you gain people's attention, do you keep it? Do they respect what you have to say? Do they find value in what you have to say? Is there value being given with what you have to say? Or is it just noise? And there are times when volume gets mistaken for value, where people feel the need to react and it gets mistaken for relevance. You got everybody talking at the same time. But who's listening? Who's listening? Influence does not chase attention. It attracts it. Again, a lack of this or an absence of this is not necessary when you have influence, when you are influential, when your presence brings something to the environment that you are a participant in. Now, here's something that I have noticed personally over the years, that people with influence aren't so quick to speak. They don't need to dominate the spaces. They don't feel the need to always explain themselves constantly. You don't have to reiterate what your behavior and your actions display. Just not necessary. It is a presence, and that presence carries weight. If you're just coming in, go ahead and tap that like button. We're talking about the difference between attention and influence. And shout out to the chat. I appreciate y'all. We got the beautiful Selena in the house. We got Cutting Edge in the building. Wooda Man is in the house. I appreciate y'all. Hey, y'all. Team Easy is in the building. We got DT in the building. Thank y'all so much for coming through. I appreciate your presence. So, give me 1 second, y'all. My phone is just going off. Let me put it on silent. I don't know if anybody else is affected by this weather, this so crazy weather we got going on, but I'm telling you, my whole household been down. We just on the mend, thank goodness, but listen, take care of yourself and stay away from people that are hacking and coughing, okay? So listen, When we talk about attention and when we talk about influence, I want to make another point. When you're speaking of influence, I want to reiterate it is a presence. People that feel the need to always have to repeat themselves over and over again, or to explain their behaviors over and over again, or to put an explanation on why they do what they do, or why they're saying what they're saying, as if to accrue some reassurance from an outside source. Influence is an internal situation. It comes from inside. We don't have to convince people that we have influence. And before you seek influence, we need to understand that everybody is not going to be open or receptive or welcoming of your influence. That's not why people with influence have it or display it. It is something that is internal. It is something that is ever present within inside of you that comes out. It is a behavior. It is a presence. It is a spirit. It is something that emulates from you to others. Again, without extra explanation. I'm going to pivot for a second and I'm going to, speak on females and women and influence, because I am a woman, first of all. And from the things that I observe in real life and in other situations and environments, and the way that I was taught, is that a soft-spoken woman tends to be a powerful woman. Because one reason is that we observe more than we do this. There is more looking, listening, and digesting the external stimuli, processing it, and then gauging if it's something we need to comment on at all. Everything does not deserve a response. And every situation does not require your presence, whether it's verbally or otherwise. It is okay to be selective, because if you outstay your welcome, wear out your welcome, then your words have left less effect. People tend to listen less because it all sounds like jibber jabber after a while. And then it comes off as if you're just trying to be heard. You're just trying to be acknowledged. But are your intentions of being in that situation because you want to add value, or is it because you want somebody to listen to what you have to say? Because often you're not feeling heard. There are distinctions, again, with wanting and seeking attention and having influence. As a woman, the biggest source of influence for many is when you become a mother. I know Miss Yo Thought, shout out to my sis Laverne, always says that you are your children's first God. Women and mothers are paid attention to by the children a lot more than the fathers, or otherwise, at least to a certain age, the formative years. What behaviors and what influence do you have over your family, over your loved ones, over the ones that you know is watching your behavior, watching your actions, watching your responses to situations, even stressful situations, especially stressful situations? How are you setting an example Are you just wanting attention, or you wanting to be an influence in molding your children and setting the foundation, or contributing to setting the foundation to direct the trajectory in which they will go once they grow up? Also, as a woman that has influence, everything doesn't need to be said. And again, it's not what you say, but how is your delivery? How do you convey your thoughts and feelings? Because the real ones are going to come out to a knot. They're going to come out. They're going to ooze out the pores at some point, no matter how good you are at hiding them, at concealing certain things. And those that are closest to you are going to be able to identify them sooner than people that don't know you. When it comes to relationships with male, female, old, young, or the like, how do you talk to people? Because that also gauges whether you have influence or not. You can say something super powerful. You can drop gems all over the place. But if it's not lined with respect or being genuine, being authentic, that's going to shine through, and that will lessen people's belief in the value that you have to offer. It's not going to be received that way. There is a distinction between attention and influence. You don't have to convince people which category you align with, which category you fall into. You don't have to convince people of that. Everybody talking at the same time, everybody ain't gonna listen if it's not given in the right spirit. I guess the point that I'm making is that everything does not have to be said. You don't have to prove, especially to people you don't know. I think that's one of the craziest traps that many of us fall into, is that whether you're a people pleaser, whether you are going into an interaction with an agenda, with a purpose, you don't have to convince people you don't know, because the real you is going to shine through if you hang around long enough. You don't have anything to prove to people you don't know. You don't have to reiterate your character, your abilities, your mindset. You don't have to continue to sell yourself every time you get in people's presence. Say less. Somebody told me that some years ago. Those two words were so powerful that it helped for me to change the trajectory of how I communicated with people. Have a beautiful day, Selena. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Peace and blessings, gorgeous. Listen, I don't want to keep reiterating myself. I'm not going to make this a long live. I keep saying, because I want to drive the point home, that having influence, being influential, and doing things just to garner attention, there's like night and day. There is a huge distinction. Influence does not chase attention, it attracts it at the end of the day. Period. Okay? That's all I got, y'all. I know I kind of wanted to do a pre-record, but I don't really go live that much, or haven't been going live that much lately. So I definitely wanted to come in and just give some of my presence and just kind of speak of what it's been on my mind, share it with y'all as much as I can. Hey, Ryan Campbell, peace and blessings to you. And anybody that I might have missed, I appreciate y'all. So with that being said, I don't know. I was going to drop the link, but I really haven't really done a long enough live to really do that. But I will anyway, because you just never know. Somebody might have something to say. Normally when I drop it, y'all just tippity type in the chat, and that's okay. That's perfectly fine. I'm good with that. I am super good with that. But I want to give it the option anyway. Now, to deepen the distinction while I'm waiting to see if anybody wants to hit the link. Hold on one second, y'all. We got attention that measures engagement. So when you got influence that changes behavior, attention seems to spike kind of fast. Influence does not. It compounds slowly. It accrues. It's a process. It mounts. And it's a gradual thing. It's a gradual thing. Now, I don't know. Hold on. It's been a minute since I've been live. I have to make sure that I know that I'm looking out for anybody that might hit the link. I think there's like a little click or whatever nowadays if people come up. But pardon me, I'm a little rusty, right? So based off what you've seen, what is the difference between attention and influence for you? I wanted to kind of touch on the subject too, because I know when I come online sometimes I've been searching out some different dynamics of content. It's just every now and again we need a shift. People need to shift. You got to switch it up. You got to get away from the mundane. You have to reevaluate what is important and what adds value to you, right? And so me kind of switching around, there are people that definitely come across as being influential, and then there are people that come off that just are seeking attention at the end of the day. They're just seeking attention. So anyway, I'm not going to stay long, y'all. I appreciate your time. I appreciate your presence. Time is the most valuable resource, and you chose to spend 25 minutes of it with me, and I'm grateful for it. Thank you so very much. If nobody wants to hit the link, it's perfectly fine. I didn't really plan on dropping the link anyway, as far as like stimulating a conversation, because we could talk about anything, but I kind of wanted to stay on topic. So just in closing, it's okay not to be loud. It's okay to be selective in your delivery, to be selective in your words. I know that this is not the most exciting delivery or topic, but that's not my concern. My concern is that it's thought-provoking, because as people, it's okay sometimes to say less and let your actions and your presence and your behavior speak for itself. I know you can look at like a lot of the celebrities and stuff. All of them don't have influence, or they don't have the right influence. Let me reword that. They're put there to influence, but what is the nature of the influence, and how do they convey it? How do they send it out? What are they looking for in return? What is the end game? And that made me think about, we have to be mindful on who we allow to influence us. I remember there was a time where people with self-respect, people that carried themselves in a certain way, that led and concluded with respect, that only surrounded themselves with like-minded individuals, those were the ones that had the most influence. And we're now living in a time where the standards have totally changed and shifted to a point where people are looking up to those that bear it all, that leave nothing to the imagination, that have foul mouths. But because they fit the standards of the current culture that we in, and that the masses have turned to follow, that seems to be what people value, many, not all, to the point where I know it's an illusion. Because if you go behind a lot of these celebrities' closed doors, what's done in the dark usually comes to the light. But even before it comes to the light, if you got any kind of access and you know what to look for and what to read, you can see that these people are very unhappy and that they do not live their lives in the way that they convey the message to you. I remember when Cardi B was doing a live one time, and her daughter came in while she was playing one of her songs, and she immediately cut it off. But it's okay for you to sell that music and to mass produce it to the masses and pitch it off as if it's something that is worth the influence. That spoke volumes for me. It's not good enough for your own child, but you think it's okay for mine. That's problematic for me. And that's why as parents, we have to be aware, we have to be active, and we have to be involved in the decisions that our children make until they're old enough to make their own. We are responsible for laying that foundation, and everything that glitters ain't gold. And I'm gonna be honest, these celebrities are the last people we should be allowing into our homes to influence our families, our children, ourselves, our spouses, to bring that energy within the four walls of our confinements. Twerk to it, bounce up and down to it, be in a car, blast it, repeat the words, sing along with it. Our children are watching. Whoever is around you is watching. And if ain't nobody watching, that is a form of influence. So we have good influences, we have bad influences. Which one do you gravitate to? Which one tickles your fancy? Which one stimulates you into making decisions that garner consequences, good or bad? Attention versus influence. And I believe there are skewed lines, particularly with the culture of celebrities. They're doing it all. They have influence while seeking attention. It's like a drug, it's a high. It's a form of, or it can be a form of addiction. If you're aware of that, then at that point, you have the responsibility of selecting. Does it influence you? Does it influence your loved ones? Do you allow it into your midst? Attention and influence. Totally separate. Learn the distinction so when you see it and the lines are skewed and they're blurred, you can decipher, is this good for me? Is this good for my loved ones? Is this good for my community? Or is it something I should pass on and go to something with more substance? Something with more grounding. And I'm going to say this. It's okay to bring shame back. It's unbelievable to me how we don't have shame. And I mean, as far as a community goes, we have lost shame to where there's no moral compass, to where people can do anything. And if you have something to say or you have an opinion about it that's disagreeable with their actions, there's a problem. Becomes a problem. With shame, it is a barometer and it is a guide. More so of a clear guide, clearer than the ones that are given nowadays, as to helping make the decision. Is this something I should be dealing with? Is this something I should be giving other people? If you are an influencer. Isn't that interesting how Instagram uses that term to those that have a lot of followers on Instagram, on the platform, where they get monetized, where they get paid to be an influencer? But what is the influence? What's the message? What is the image and the character that they are displaying to millions potentially of onlookers? We are not living in a time where we can afford to keep making poor decisions. So whether you're on the receiving end or the giving end of seeking attention, or having influence, that's a decision that we all have to individually make. At the end of the day, though, we will reap the consequences, again, good or bad, of whichever side we choose and whichever decision we make. So I'm going to close out in a minute, but I wanted to, so I finally saw the documentary of Diddy. I couldn't even get up until I saw the whole thing. From front to finish, I was even dozing off and I was like, okay, but I wanted to know, even with the narrative, 50 Cent, we know, executive produced it, but I thought it was very well done. And it used Diddy's footage, his own words, his actions, his behavior over a span of decades. Look at the influence that not just he has had, but those that he signed onto his label has had, those that he has never come into contact has had. And one of the disturbing parts, but eye-opening parts that I saw was when he seemed to be super sincere with interacting with the public, but then he got in the vehicle and said he needed to go submerge himself in water to clean himself off, because that was an act that he just was not comfortable with. But look at the influence. He took pictures with people that will show that for generations to come, that didn't mind aligning themselves with him, knowing the scrutiny and all of the confusion that is around him and has been around him for some time. That's influence. Not good influence, in my opinion, but it's still influence. He's very influential. We have to be mindful and we have to be careful If you are an influencer, you have influence, and your words hold power, you have a responsibility. What messages you send, what spirit you give it in, how you convey it. And that was eye-opening for me. Because all the glitter ain't gold. And when it comes to these celebrities, in my opinion, we'd be better off without them. More authentic exchanges. More relatable interactions. More real shit. Because none of this is real in my opinion. But these are our current influencers that are being paid handsomely, even if it's just for the moment, to sway the masses, in my opinion, to destruction, into confusion, keep them into distractions. Hey, Mr. Oates. We got Dre in the building. Hey, Dre. It's so good to see y'all. Thank you. So with that being said, that's a good time and a good note to leave off on. And for those, if you haven't already, consider subscribing. I appreciate y'all sharing this space with me today. I really do. And I'll see y'all next time. Peace and blessings, everybody. Stay well, stay hydrated, and stay away from folks that's out here hacking and coughing. Peace.